So in May 2025, my biological age came back at 43. I'm about to turn 51 next month. And this week, my labs came in again, 38. According to my blood work, I didn't just age well this year, I aged backwards by 5 years. And before you assume this is about weight loss, it's not. I didn't go on a diet. I didn't cut carbs. I didn't fast for 18 hours a day. I didn't inject anything. I didn't train any harder. What I did do were 3 very specific things, and they're not what the weight loss industry would tell you to focus on. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly what changed in the last year, why it matters, and how most women are measuring the wrong metric when it comes to getting healthy. Because aging is not about how many birthdays you've had. It's about inflammation. It's about blood sugar regulation. It's about muscle. It's about stress. It's about the systems running underneath your choices. So if you're in your 40s or 50s and you have been told that decline is inevitable, this episode is going to challenge that. I'm 51. My labs say I'm 38. And I'm going to tell you exactly how that happened. Let's get into it. So welcome to this episode where I get to flex a little bit here. I was so flippin' excited when I got my blood work done last week. And it was because at first when I kind of opened up my blood work, I saw green everywhere. And it's so interesting because last year when I got my blood work done, I had out of the 100 markers that I had done, 9 of them came back out of range. They weren't very out of range. And they were one of them was, I actually had a bladder infection, a UTI. So that one came out of range. And then the other ones were very slightly. And they were minor things, but I like to perform well. So I didn't like that I had any of them out of range, but I also got my biological age at 43. And I was like, well, I will take the out of range ones because I was 50 at the time. And I'm like, that's awesome. And I remember talking to my clients in my membership group in my private practice. And I'm like, check this out. And one of the reasons why I was so excited was because back when I was 40, I did not do the same blood work stuff that gave me a biological age, but I had this kind of fancy scale that told you your metabolic age. And when I was 40, I think I was actually even 39 at the time, my metabolic age was 43. So let's just do that math for a second. At 40, my age said I was 43. And I remember feeling a bit defeated, but I was also just starting really getting into the consistency of my health journey and teaching and doing the things that I teach now. And so I was like, hopefully I can turn that around. But I actually didn't really think it was possible, to be very honest with you. And then last year when I got it done and I saw that I was 43, I'm like, holy heck, I literally aged chronologically 10 years, but my age actually stayed the same. So if you think about it, when I was 40, I was 3 years older than I was. When I was 50, I was 7 years younger than I actually was. It felt like a huge, huge, huge win. And then I got my blood work done again and everything was in green, literally everything. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. And then I saw my biological age and I didn't even know it, honestly. I talk about longevity and how I want to be able to kick a soccer ball when I'm in my 80s and 90s and I want to live until I'm 120 and all of this stuff. But to age backwards by 5 years in less than a year, that felt impossible. I wasn't going for that. And I always say we shouldn't have a goal weight because you don't even really know what your goal weight should be. You want to be at your optimal weight, whatever that is. And I didn't have a goal age. I want to be the healthiest version of myself. And I'm divorcing myself from that result. I am just committed to constantly up leveling. What I did when I was 40 is not what I do today. And what I do today will not be what I do when I'm 55. At least it shouldn't be. I think we should constantly be looking to continue to up level because once a strategy or a habit becomes a part of who you are, you naturally, as a human, want to continue to up level. So I have been living this lifestyle for a really long time. And so I want to first tell you the things that I do on a regular basis that got me from age 40 to age 50 while aging backwards. And then what I did, the three things that I did differently in this past year that got me to age 5 years backwards. I'm just as shocked as you are. So what do I do on a regular basis? Well, that's a piece of the puzzle that has also evolved. When I first started going down this journey, I learned how to eat to balance my blood sugar. That's literally all I did differently. I ate PFC3, which is now my registered trademarked approach, along with the man that I learned it from. I feel so honored and blessed that I got to learn from celebrity nutritionist Mark McDonald. And then together we started a brand that actually teaches this to others, to health coaches and health professionals, called PFC3. And so PFC3 is essentially eating a protein, fat, and carb every 3 hours. Super simple, but when we eat clean, whole, unprocessed food as much as possible, keep our carbs to that place of those less dense carbs, or the carbs that are not highly refined and ultra processed, well, then we can balance our blood sugar when we pair those with a protein and a fat. And it was amazing how in days I could feel a difference in my body. And so when I was 40, I had only just really started getting into that concept in my lifestyle. I was also strength training. I actually had joined a gym, and it was through the gym that I learned about Mark McDonald. So those were really the only two things I was doing at that time. I had, gotten my metabolic age at 43, even though I was 40. But I felt like I was finally doing something different and that I could sustain. Because what was so cool about PFC3 was that while eating clean, whole, unprocessed foods is the norm, the coach that I was working with was like, you don't have to be perfect. And nobody had ever said that to me before, because in a diet, you always have to be perfect. So it was amazing to me that I didn't have to be perfect and I could still make progress in my health. And as I evolved in that and kind of allowed that to become like just not just what I did, but who I was. This is just part of me. Then it was really where I started digging into bigger pieces of the puzzle. I knew my actual mindset played a huge role in my consistency and showing up for myself, understanding my why and what I wanted, and really truly why I wanted it. That evolved over time. My work as a behavior specialist for 20 years before I figured out how to eat this way really got me into the science of understanding my own behavior when it came to my health and wellness. And then I continued to up level. I then really focused on my sleep and getting myself into a very solid sleep routine. I really dug into supplements and realized how malnourished I was simply because of the lack of supplementation. And so I continued to up level in that way. When it came to my movement, I saw the power for me of yoga. And so throughout those 10 years, I continued to want to just get better for myself. One way was also around budgeting and my financial stability and health. My husband and I made some really important moves to be able to, when I say moves, I mean like mindset moves, to say like, we're going to cook at home more. And we knew that was going to save us money. It was also going to enhance our health. So I say that the approach that I teach around understanding blood sugar stabilization, your belief systems, and your behavioral science, those BSs can totally wipe away the BS of the diet industry. And by doing those things, I say it's like a fine wine. It gets better over time. And for the 10 years that I really committed to just being boring, if you think about it, I heard once Tom Brady say being the GOAT is actually boring, the greatest of all time. It just means you have to keep showing up and doing the things that you know matter consistently. And I did that. I consistently showed up for myself for 10 years. And like I said, it gets better over time. Dieting makes you actually worse over time in your mindset, in your body, in every single aspect of your life. My clients that have come to me, 20, 30 years of dieting, and they now have metabolic disease. So it's a great example of how dieting absolutely sends you backwards, ages you faster. And a lot of it is because you're on this crazy blood sugar roller coaster. Another thing that I really worked on during those 10 years was mitigating my stress. getting myself back to my faith and understanding truly what I would say yes to and what I would say no to, looking at time management as a big reliever of stress, and focusing on boundaries. So over 10 years, I aged, yet I didn't. And to be able to say that I was 43 at 50 was huge. So what did I do over this past year that was different than this year? Well, I can name 3 things as I have gone back and really reflected what is the reason why I age backwards that much. I mean, I gotta believe that there's a cap, unless I'm like Benjamin Button. Which feels a little impossible. I got to believe at some point we're going to be tipping the scales in the other way, but we will let you know next year of that. But there are 3 things that I have focused on over this past year. Now, one of them is morning time. And before you say to me, oh my gosh, Carrie, please, that cannot have been a big game changer. Let me tell you why it was. I go live every morning, Monday through Friday at Instagram, Carrie_Lipoli. Go hang out with me, 8:00 a.m. Eastern time every day. And you'll see how passionate I am about morning time. And if you can't watch it live, just watch it on the replay. But the reason I am so passionate about it is because with the thousands of people that I've worked with over the last 10 years, I know that it is morning time that has either made or broke consistency. And so when people show up for themselves and do the 3 pieces of morning time that I always say are the most important things to do, they show up consistently, not perfectly, but consistently. And anybody that ever said that they just sort of fell off, they fell away, they're not showing up for themselves anymore, the first question I always ask is, are you doing morning time? And the answer is always no. And I did not miss a single day of morning time. I am at the point where it is literally who I am. I cannot start my day without it. Now, I have gotten on airplanes at 6:00 in the morning, and I might do my morning time while I'm on the plane, and it's a shortened version of it, but I had not missed a single day in this past year, which I honestly cannot say had been the truth before. But because of what I do in morning time, truly getting deeply set in gratitude, being so grateful for the life that I have has changed the way I look at things that are not going my way. It literally builds resiliency. I write about this in my book, From Corset to Crown, because I have seen firsthand the impact of gratitude on my own life, but I have also quote all the science behind it as well. And so I have not ever let that go. If I have to shorten my morning time, it's the second thing that I've shortened, but I have done this more often than I'm not. The second part is learning something new. And by learning something new every day, I read a part of a nonfiction book every day. I have dug deeper into understanding more about health and wellness, but I've opened up my brains to solutions and to new ways of thinking. And so that little bit of learning has, without a doubt, I know, impacted my brain. It's like when older people do Sudoku or crossword puzzles to keep their brain going. I'm reading something valuable, important, and new every day. And then the third part of morning time is time blocking my day, getting super intentional with what I want and why I want it, knowing the things that I have and my habit tracker about what I want to do every day. And so getting really intentional about what I'm doing, those 3 things consistently in the last year have changed the trajectory of my entire life. I have published 2 books. I'm hosting a live event. I'm running 4 businesses and started a new one. And it is not because I had more time. It was because I absolutely got crystal clear on who I was, what I wanted, and got real intentional with my time. Okay, so that's number 1. The second thing that I have done consistently, and I've got the research to back it up, not just in my own life, but in study after study, which is what got me to say, this year I'm going to commit to this, is being in my sauna. I am in my sauna 4 days a week. I have a Sunlight In sauna. I will swear by the Sunlight In group, that Sunlight In company. They're like the old OG of saunas. It's just like everything. Nothing is created equal. And they're sort of the gold standard of saunas. The longevity studies that are out there about sauna, Now, one of my biggest fears is that I'll get Alzheimer's. My grandmother died of Alzheimer's, and it's just always been weighing on my heart that that would be me. We know that over 85% of people with Alzheimer's have dysregulated blood sugar. So that's one of my really big reasons why I'm very, very obsessed with how important blood sugar is for me. And I know how important it is for everyone else. And you know that a 21-year study on saunas showed that there was a 65% decrease in Alzheimer's with sauna use. And so we know that it is amazing for detoxing, for longevity, for disease. And I've had a sauna for 5 years. And in this last year, I was committed to at least 4 days a week of sauna. There's no denying how beneficial that has been and how it is something I look forward to, I am proud of, and I very, very much believe people need to do. Now, you can do a sauna in your gym. Sweating is the big thing, but it's also the infrared light gets deeper into your system. So if Sunlight Inn is something you want to dig into, I highly suggest going to Sunlight Inn. Tell them you know me. You will get a huge discount on your purchase, but I am passionate about how powerful the Sunlight Inn brand is and what it has done for me. Okay, third thing that I have done that I think I know has contributed to my 5-year regression in age, which is actually progression if you think about it, is HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Now, I have been on HRT let me think about this now. I went on HRT just before I turned 47. It was a low dose estrogen. So for 3 years before I switched over to a different kind of HRT. And it was a vaginal estrogen and progesterone through Inner Balance. Dr. Sarah Dackeret was on my podcast a year ago. And what she said on that podcast, see, it is not just for you, it is also for me, blew me away around hormones, around how much your doctor, like your OB, does or does not know about hormones, and the lie that's been told to us about HRT. Sarah and I have become really good friends. She has been a guest with my members, but that podcast, it was back in like April 2025-ish, March or April 2025. You got to go back and watch. What Sarah unveils there got me so convicted. I, on my own, with her and her doctor's support, went into her hormone replacement therapy protocol. And my doctor was pissed. I can say it no other way. He was not happy. And I've been with my doctor for a really long time. And so I was really actually surprised. And it goes right back to my conspiracy theory brain about how the diet industry, weight loss industry, pharmaceutical industry, healthcare system, food industry is not here in our best interest. And I want to believe, I believe that my doctor does have my best interest at heart, but is not trained in a system that can provide that level of service. I was a lost customer when I moved my prescription over. And it was not until this week when we got my blood work back and he sent me a message and he said, I actually think that is great. I had never heard of this Oestra before, which is this type of hormone replacement therapy, and I didn't believe it. And so he got the results from me this year on top of all the additional research that I sent him myself. And he was like, wow. So doing your research on understanding HRT is so important because since the black box got revoked, we have been able to have conversations that are not necessarily arguing anymore around HRT. And now we can we have been arguing really that it is a preventative. It will actually save lives. And as I look at my labs, I'm like, well, holy heck. Why was the black box label on there? Conspiracy theorist that I am right now. I was like, because I was like, it's a prescription. The pharmaceutical industry can get all sorts of stuff out of this. Why wouldn't we want women to do this? Well, if you're going to age backward, It's the same reason they're not going to pay for the sauna. And that doesn't help the bottom line of making sure everybody is on some sort of a prescription for the rest of their lives. I mean, if we're going to actually get healthier and like age backwards, why would we want women to do that? So I'm not saying everybody needs to do HRT. I am saying every woman needs to look into HRT with a new mindset of health and wellness and longevity versus the fear mongering that was done for so many years. Is all HRT the same? No. Do you need to talk to your doctor? Yes. Make sure your doctor is a hormone specialist. You can go connect with innerbalance.com. I get nothing for these things, you guys. I just know how powerful it is. Innerbalance.com, Dr. Sarah Dockerat. She's been on my podcast twice. She's worked with my members. Blown away by the education and the empowerment that you have. So those are the three things that I have done over the past year that's different. There are a few things I'm going to up level for next year. Obviously, I'm going to keep doing the things that I've been doing, but I am also digging deeper into supplementation. I've been bringing on a few people on my podcast. If you saw Chris Burris recently and the molecule ESS 60, I was completely blown away by that. And that molecule is one that I am now taking. I'm also looking into some peptides for certain reasons when it comes to pain that I have, because I'm still a 50-year-old and I've always had hip issues. So I'm looking into some of that. Into a few other things when it comes to my own exercise and movement, committing to being much more intentional on my daily movement. I strength train every day, but you can strength train every day and still not really move for the rest of the day and be considered sedentary. So I'm actually focusing on that a little bit more than I have in the past. So we'll see what happens in another year. But for right now, I'm real excited about what this is, not for me, but also for you. Because the stuff that you get to learn and take away from this, I hope is feeling empowering and exciting for you. So we'll put in the show notes the different things that I've done this year with some links to that. And let's get ourselves on a path to truly becoming the healthiest version of ourselves so that we can serve our purpose for as long as possible, because that is what we are on this earth for. Not to weigh a certain amount, but to be a certain amount. And so I'm excited for you to try your hand at some of these things and check back with me in a year and see how you're doing. Till next time. Thanks.